We are very in church for allowing us to do this concert today in their beautiful sanctuary and for all the technical support. As a choir, we're so pleased and blessed to be with you to share our voices in song. This is our first spring concert since 2019. Due to the 2 years of the pandemic, 20 members decided for various reasons to no longer belong to the Choral Society. Nevertheless, to our joy and surprise, we have singers continuously joining our ranks by visiting the Lakewood Area Choral Society website and showing interest there. In 2021, our former accompanist moved with her family to Minnesota, which left us with a huge complication, preventing us from restarting our season or the hope of singing again. Then in early fall, Nikki Wrights joined us on the piano, allowing us to plan for the first concert in 2 years, which was our Christmas concert of 2021. And at that time, we only had 48 singers. Most importantly, the choir members that are going to be standing up here shortly. These are the ones who have proven their dedication and perseverance to remain faithful to Choral Society. Despite the many setbacks, the many months of setbacks and uncertainties, they have reinitiated the discipline of musicianship, coming prepared to rehearsals during which their voices are masterfully woven together by Dr. Robert C. Osborne.
Hold on, Mary.
Hello? The results of his tireless endeavor to create beautiful and heartfelt music is now yours to savor today. So welcome again and enjoy. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Paul Kuhlman, Pastor Paul Kuhlman. On special occasions, I'm retired, so I just prefer to be called as Paul, but today I'm pastor. And I want to lead you in invocation, if I could. Let us pray. God of mercy and grace, you created all things, and in each of the moments and views of your creation, we find your love. All creation sings your praises and thanksgiving. So have mercy on us, for we are often with doubts, and we fail you every day. Show us your love and a vision of the same for the world in which we live. On this, the Lord's Day, we thank you for the gift of your Son, a perfect sign of your love, and for your Spirit who calls us and blesses us with courage and strength. Watch over our gathering and bless this congregation which has opened her doors to us tonight. May our voices resound in praise, and may our lives reflect your love. Bless the community that has gathered, the voices of the choir, and the guidance and gifts of those who will lead us, so that as we conclude this festive Pentecost Sunday, we will all be able to proclaim, "All is well with my soul." O Lord our God, how great you are. Amen. Now, following the organ prelude, if you are please stand and join us in the opening hymn, number 447, Lead On, O King Eternal. You will sing verses 1 and 3. The Choral Society will sing verse 2. The words will be on the screen, and you may also sing from the blue hymnal. Thank you.
now. Thank you very much. It's great to see all of you. So, in 12 years ago, the choir celebrated our 25th anniversary. And at that time, we commissioned Michigan composer. In fact, Frank is a good friend of mine, a colleague. He used to teach at Okemos High School. We commissioned Frank DeWald to write an original composition for us, which he did, called Sea and Shore, which you are going to hear momentarily. And it was very interesting because we had never really done this before. And to have the composer in the audience when we literally world premiered this was a true delight, and it was a little bit panicky. Especially when Frank came up to me after rehearsal and said, I didn't write that retard in that one measure there. You're taking some liberties that I didn't put in there. But regardless, we had a great time with it. And this piece of music has been published by Boozy and Hawkes and has sold over 10,000 copies. And at the top it says, dedicated to the Lakewood Area Choral Society for their 25th anniversary, Lake Odessa, Michigan. So we're very proud to have our name out there along with Frank's. The interesting side note about this piece, the text was written by Henry Van Dyke. And it's a very powerful text, and normally my feeling about texts in programs or texts up on screens, it's a distraction because the choir's diction should be good enough that you should be able to understand what we're singing. But there are some nuances in this text that I even find hard to grasp, some metaphors and so forth. And so I've asked Rick and Karen if they would put the text up on the screen so you can follow along and hear how Frank weaves this all in and out with the music. And interestingly enough, and it ends in endless hymns of praise. And what does he do at the end? He calls in the finale from Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. And you'll hear this come in at the very last page. So with the choirs now, we're going to sing Frank DeWald's Sea and Shore. So while the quartet is getting into position for the Gloria from one of Mozart's masses, on September 24th, we are going to celebrate the choir's 35th anniversary in 37 years. And it's going to be at the Performing Arts Center. And for this occasion, we commissioned nationally acclaimed composer Jill Galena, who is a personal friend and colleague of mine. I've known Jill for many years, and she wrote a piece called His Masterpiece, Words and Music. And we're going to be world premiering this on the September 24th concert, and Jill and her husband Michael will be in attendance. So we hope to see you there when we do this, when we premiere His Masterpiece. So without any further ado, the Gloria from Mozart's Mass. This is in Latin, and I'm sure you're all aware of that. This is Jill Van Zyl, who is chairperson of the Lakewood Area Choral Society Scholarship Committee.
Thank you. In 1997, we offered our first scholarship to a high school senior that was majoring either in music education or vocal performance. Offering this scholarship is important to us for many reasons, but mainly for what music offers to all of us. Music is a gift, whether you are singing for fun, professionally, or just listening to it. And through this scholarship, we are ensuring the quality music will be here for years to come. Our scholarship committee consists of 5 members. We have a few of them here today: Greg Haskin, Sue Ray Dant, Gary Platty, and Judy Schaefer. Over the years, we have interviewed so many wonderful and talented students. These young people always enhance our faith in our world today. This year's recipient is Connor Lindsay from Hastings High School. Connor has an amazing voice and many accomplishments already. We know he has a great career ahead of him. I hope you take a minute, if you haven't already, and turn to page 41 in your program to learn more about him. Please join me in welcoming Connor. You're in for a treat. your scholarship. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Good luck.
So my assistant conductor and I, we were debating on whether to do the next hymn seated or standing, and I opted for standing because you guys have been sitting a long time. They can just suck it up. Okay. So I'm going to play the introduction to the hymn. It'll just be the last line. Please stand. The first verse is everybody. Second verse will be male voices only. Third verse, female voices only. Fourth verse, choir only. And then the last verse, I'm going to do something funky with the harmony. I'm going to change keys and just everybody sing in unison and let it go. Okay, so here we go.
the way congregation singing should be all the time. Thank you all for participating in that. That's probably the thing I love most about being an organist is when everybody's singing.
I love having Ronnie conduct for any number of reasons. It's good for them to follow someone new and someone different, and I get to sit down and enjoy it and just sit there and listen. So thank you, Ronnie. I have to tell you that Ronnie directs her choir in her her winter home in Florida. And you should see these extravaganzas that they put on. And what's amazing is that Ronnie's accompanist is one of our former accompanists, Joy French. So it all comes around. It's kind of like all in the family. So the second to the last piece that we're going to sing for you is our unofficial theme song. So in 1985, at parent-teacher conferences, I had a mother tell me during the conference, after she got done explaining why her son could be a problem. Seriously. She said, though, I wish I had a chance to sing in a choir like he does. And that's where the seed for the Lakewood Area Choral Society was planted. And I will share with you that a wonderful, wonderful man who literally changed my career direction, because I was going to be a band director. All the way through high school, I was going to be a band director. And my senior year in high school, a new choir director came to my high school in Rochester, New York. His name was Ralph Cicchino. And he was brutal. The choir went from 40 to 28 within the first week of school. And 5 months later, we had the first perfect scores at the state competition that the school had ever had. And Ralph, what he taught me is that quality, not quantity. And we have to be true to the art. And he came up to me one day after class and said, so, what are you doing next year? I said, I'm going to Wittenberg University to become a band director. He goes, do they offer a dual major? And I said, I think so. He says, you ought to check that out. He says, you need to have a dual major. He says, just in case the band thing doesn't work out, you might want to consider going into the choral thing. Oh, okay. In one ear, out the other, right? Until junior year, end of junior year, beginning of senior year, I go to student teach. My first student teaching assignment at 8 o'clock in the morning was a 6th grade band. I finished the class, went back to my advisor and said, I would like a choral placement, please. And I haven't looked back. So he was extremely influential to me, and he had the Greece Area Choral Society that I modeled this group after. This is in the town of Greece, New York, which is a northern suburb of Rochester where I grew up. And in 2004, we went back there to do an exchange concert with them. And what a thrill that was for me to be on the same stage with him and his choral society. I think he had 140 people singing. And we had on that tour, about 70 or 80 people on that tour. It was just a magnificent time. And his picture is still on this stand. And right underneath that, there's a little insignia that says, do you think that's good? Because he would stop the choir. He'd have me sing my part in front of everybody. And he'd turn to the person next to me and say, do you think that was good? And it was intimidating, but it made you listen, and it made you think, and it made you work harder. And everybody that stayed in that class worked harder, and that's why we ended up the way we did. So I have much to thank him for. And that was a long story to get around to 1986 then. So January 1st, 1986, after a lot of advertising, media blitzes, and so forth, we had the choir room at Lakewood High School set for our first choral society rehearsal, the Lakewood Area Choral Society. And I had 40 pieces of this next piece of music that we're going to sing called It Is Well With My Soul, and 80 people showed up. And I'm going down to the copy room and making illegal copies and, trying like all this stuff to get it ready. But anyway, we've been very fortunate since then. I've had Paul Quigley, one of our historians and members of our bass section. He has estimated we've had close to 600 people as members of this choir since 1986. And some are out here today, and I'd like to ask them to stand, please. Current or former members who are out here, please stand. Yeah, so you can see. Yeah. So we will do our theme song. It is an arrangement of It Is Well With My Soul. So we're going to surround you at the end here with our benediction. And while the choir is moving, I would like to once again echo Mary Kuhlman's sentiments, thanking the church and especially Rick and Karen Veck here in the audio booth, getting the cameras, the microphones, the screens, everything. Thank you so much. And to all the members of the church that helped after the service today to get this area cleared out so that we could move in. I really appreciate all the work. On your way out today, if you feel so inclined, at each of the doors we have Choral Society personnel with nice festive bags that you could drop your financial appreciations in if you feel so desired on the way out. We would certainly appreciate any contributions that you could offer for us. So, yeah, and if you want to write a check for, four-figure check, yeah. Okay, LACS, okay. Thank you, Joni, for reminding me. When it comes to checks, she always knows about stuff like this. Minister of Finance. So we hope to see all of you on September 24th at the Performing Arts Center when we have our official 35th anniversary celebration in 2 years later. So we'd like to close now with our choral benediction. This is an Old English prayer. Thank you again for being here.